store for details.
Beware of the fog.
You'll swish to the right wing.
The Kansas Jayhawks hit the hardwood every game right here.
Wow! What ball movement! They share it and they throw it down.
There's nothing like Kansas basketball.
A big-time thundering slam!
Be a part of the journey all season long on your home for Kansas Jayhawk basketball.
Saturday, the Jayhawks travel to Bloomington to take on the Hoosiers. Coverage begins at 11:30 on 810 WHB.
We all know Goodwill. But did you know when you donate stuff to Goodwill, you help provide job training for people right here in your community? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Rod-In Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Covell running the show back there at Sports Radio 810. Todd Surprise running the show for us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. My partner, Kirk Elliott, to my side right here. Kirk, how you been doing, bud?
Doing great. Boy, it's not long now. Christmas time is here, isn't it?
It is just about here. And we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas that's out there right now.
That's right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
You got your shopping done?
No, I don't have my shopping done.
Kind of like typical male. I've gotten like 3 things finished, and 2 of them my wife's already bought to have me wrap. So, you know, I don't have to say that
I'm a last-minute shopper.
I'm a last-minute shopper.
Kirk, so when do you go shopping?
Well, traditionally for me, Christmas Eve. That's when I've always done it. I'm a little better than that than I used to be. Maybe a day or 2 ahead of Christmas Eve, but for a long time it was Christmas Eve. I went out and did all my shopping.
I like that. That's how I used to do it.
And you know, what I liked about it, it was exhilarating because the time was, you know, at a premium and you had to really bear down and do it. And so it felt exhilarating to me, and it felt exciting because there was a hard deadline.
That's right.
You had to get it all done. Right away.
I liked it when you used to be able to. I mean, I lived by Oak Park Mall, and I would go Christmas Eve to Oak Park Mall. Just experience that. It's still pretty cool, man.
Right.
I mean, you know, just to have that hubbub and craziness of a mall, it's insane on Christmas.
Hey, what was the name of the mall that was over there at State Line and
State Avenue?
635?
Off of State Avenue?
Yeah.
Indian Springs Mall?
Indian Springs.
Yeah. You could call it that now.
It's completely gone.
Yeah, it's a big, there's a police station there.
You know,
young people today wouldn't believe there used to be a mall there.
Yeah.
You know, that it's kind of crazy that we don't see malls like we used to.
No,
back when we were kids, malls were real popular.
We remember the old Bannister Mall down there.
Well, you had Independence.
South
You had
Kansas
Independence
City.
Center.
Yeah, it's gone.
All those are. But Oak Park Mall is still thriving. If you want to go do a mall experience, get your Santa on, and go do all that, you can head right over to Oak Park Mall today and get all Christmas up if you want to do it.
Right.
What wasn't Blue Ridge Mall one of the oldest malls
Absolutely.
in the country?
Yeah, it was.
It
At
was.
one time?
No doubt.
Yeah, I remember when I first moved to Kansas
My mom
City, I
used
went
to work
Blue
out
Ridge
there,
Mall.
be honest with you,
Yeah.
Kirk. She worked at Macy's.
Or Jones Store.
Macy's.
Was Macy's back then?
Macy's.
Yep.
Yeah, Macy's was out
You remember
there.
the old Jones Store?
I used to buy the Jones Store used to be a Ticketmaster outlet back when they first started. So you have all these long-haired dudes showing up at Jones Store at 10 a.m. to get their tickets for their Kiss concert or their Van Halen concert. And,
right.
All these women be like, "What are these guys doing here?"
I want to give a shout-out to Scott, who's listening in from Fort Myers Beach, Florida.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's a good place to be
Man,
right now.
that's
How about that?
I would love to be down in Cape Coral, right by Fort Myers Beach. That's where my cousin David lives. And, man, I'd love to live down there.
Florida's a good place to be this time of the
But
year. Although, you know,
the-
we haven't had any really hard winter weather yet.
The
up
problem is now that I've got a grandson, I'm not moving away.
Yeah.
I'm not moving away.
That kind of changes things, doesn't it?
It does change things.
And
Yeah.
you're slowly indoctrinating your grandson into racing, aren't you?
I'm hopeful that he'll want to drive a junior sprint eventually.
I would imagine that would be very possible with you hanging around him as much as you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be babysitting him on Fridays, just so you know.
At the very least, he'll be a big race fan.
Right. So when he's a kid and he stays with me on Fridays, I might just take him to the races.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he'll have that exposure.
Right.
He'll be at the racetrack.
No doubt.
Speaking of races.
You know, I listen, last night at Gateway.
Yeah.
What did you think of those races? It was a little cowboy up last night, wasn't it?
It was good action. It was smoother on Thursday night than last night, although the action was good last night. We saw some great slide jobs last night, some good action. Expect more of the same tonight. Hey, hats off to the track crew. I thought they did a pretty good job prepping the racetrack for good racing action.
Well, there was a little bit of a controversy last night with the 25 car.
Jason Fager.
He kind of rammed. Who was the other guy?
Carson Hocevar.
Carson Hocevar.
The NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
Carson.
Carson.
We
Carson.
know Carson
Carson.
Hocevar watching
Carson.
NASCAR races.
So what did you think about that retaliation?
I thought it was bad.
Because, listen, he got ran down into the barrier and hit his left rear tire and knocked his left rear tire down, and then he retaliated by just ripping the whole side of his car off. What did you think about that?
Yeah, the left rear of the car. I just thought it was a dirty move on Jason Fager's part. First of all, I didn't think Carson Hocevar did anything wrong. He was down on the inside of the racetrack, got pinched into the wall. What was he supposed to do?
Right.
He got up into the left rear. Jason Fager's car cut his tire down. Jason wasn't happy about that, so he
Right.
retaliated on the cool-down lap, and instead of running into the back
Completely
of
ripped
Carson
off the
Hocevar's
side of
car,
his
he
car.
ripped off the whole left corner of his car and almost got up into the driver's cockpit.
Right.
That's a bad move, and I felt the officials should have come down hard on Jason Fager and parked him for the night for doing that. Carson could have got hurt if he'd had an arm out the window, he got up pretty close to where the driver was sitting.
Oh,
with
no
all
doubt.
that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was uncalled for. I like Jason Fager as a driver. He's one of the great late model drivers out in Illinois. He's won a lot of races in his time, but that retaliation on Carson Hocevar was totally uncalled for.
Ricky Thornton Jr., he picks up the win last night with the late models. What'd you think about that? He kind of pulled away there a little bit at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, that was on a restart with about 11 laps to go. He found the inside. Now, before that, the restart before that, there was a move by Mike Harrison that he showed down to the inside that you get past that. Harrison was able to get past. Actually, that was the modified race, so scratch that. No, the restart, we'll talk about that modified race with Mike Harrison here in a little bit. I got confused with those two races right there.
Yeah, Mike Harrison was a modified driver.
That was in the modified race.
Right, yeah.
Okay, getting back to the late model race. That slide move that Ricky Thornton Jr. pulled on Chris Simpson was a classic move. He got up, and Chris Simpson didn't like that move that he made.
Right.
He didn't like that at all because he pulled up and stopped right in front of him. But I thought it was a good move by Ricky Thornton Jr., and that shows right there why he's one of the great late model drivers in the country right now. That was going to be a hard move to make, but he was able to see the inside of that, got up, slid up in front of Simpson, and once he got out in front, he checked out.
Kirk, Ricky Thornton Jr. picked up his 40th win last night. What do you think about that? 40 wins in one season.
That's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
And he's the likely winner tonight, is he? I think they're going to have some sort of a redraw, so we don't know exactly sure where Ricky Thornton's going to start. But the top three finishers out of the two preliminary nights, Thursday and Friday, are locked in. So we got 6 drivers
Right.
They're locked into tonight's main event, but we don't know where everybody's going to start.
Ricky Thornton Jr. is also locked into the modified race as well.
Yeah, because
Right.
he won the
the other night.
race on Thursday night.
Yeah.
So he won a prelim in the modifieds Thursday and a late model last night. So
Jordan
Ricky
Kabowski
Thornton Jr. is the star of the show so far.
Jordan Kabowski picked up the win last night, but Drake Troutman, he led a bunch of that race last night too. At the 5 car of Troutman, he led a bunch of that race.
And this is where Mike Harrison made the move down to the inside. He showed the way down to the inside and was able to pass the eventual winner, Jordan Grabowski, for second place. Only another yellow flag came out, and they had to do it again, so Harrison wasn't able to make that pass on Jordan Grabowski's stick.
Right.
So they come back on the next restart. Grabowski saw what Harrison did that time before, and he made the move and was able to get the run on Drake Troutman for the lead and win that race.
You know, the best battle of the night was between Troutman and Mike Harrison. Those two were battling it out pretty good right there. Oh, no, I should say Mike Harrison and Kyle Steffens. They were those two were battling it out for the final transfer position, and that was a heck of a battle between those two.
But I don't think Jordan Grabowski wins that race after Harrison was able to pass him for second. That other yellow flag came out. They had to do it again. I don't think Grabowski is going to win that race had there not been a yellow flag come out after Harrison passed Grabowski for second place.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
No, I think that Jordan Grabowski was the fastest car last night. To be honest with you, it looked like to me that Troutman was running the top, and it looked like he had a really soft spring on the right rear of that car because it was really laying over on the right rear of that car, and he was making that thing work up there on the top, but eventually Grabowski, he got around him on the middle of the racetrack, right?
Yeah. Hats off to Trenton Berry, who, these guys made all their predictions before the race start.
Yeah.
Grabowski was starting fourth. I'm picking Jordan Grabowski, Trenton Berry said. So I guess he knows he's modifieds, right?
I'm not picking against Ricky Thornton Jr., to be honest with you.
He's got a really good chance of sweeping both
the
modifieds and late models tonight.
No doubt.
What do you think the likelihood of him not only winning one of those races but doubling up?
I think he's going to win both of those races, if you want to know the truth. He is the most dominant driver in late model racing right now.
Yeah.
And he's exceptional at driving a modified as well.
Yeah. Well, they asked him. I said, does it feel like riding a bike? And he said, yep, I felt comfortable, the modified. He's won a lot of modified races, too. So he made his name as a modified driver before he jumped into a late model. We'll see him at the Chili Bowl, too, right?
Wasn't he an IMCA driver at one point during his career?
He's a 2-time Super Nationals winner up at Boone.
Boone, right.
He's won the King of America at Humboldt. He's a former winner of the Grant Young Ann's Memorial Race. So he's got crown jewel wins in the modified ranks. So that's where he got his start.
Kirk, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in sprint car racing right now. It looks like that Brent Marks and Parker Price Miller is going to move over to the High Limit Series.
They have
Parker Price Miller was a full-time all-star racer as well. So I'm a little shocked that Brent Marks is going to go over there and run the full schedule. Are you a little surprised?
Do you think it has a lot to do with the charter system that High Limit has put together for down the road? These team owners in the High Limit Series now have a stake in the series. They're like, I wouldn't call them part owners, but they have a stake in the series now.
Right.
Unlike the World of Outlaws, which they pay the tow money and the bonus money. High Limit Series has gone a different route. Plus, they have allowed the high limit drivers to have the freedom to run whatever outside races they want to run. Don't you think that has a lot to do with it?
Well, I think it does. The World of Outlaws restricts you to 4 races that you can run outside of the World of Outlaws. How many of those guys do you think are going to run in the month of March are going to run with the World of Outlaws?
Well, I think there will be a handful of them. I don't think they all will do it, but we'll see how many of those races they get in. Everybody's concerned about the weather in the month of March. This is one of the big reasons why High Limit didn't schedule races for the month of March. World of Outlaws has scheduled every weekend throughout March. We'll see how many of them they get in.
Right.
Because the weather's typically not very good. So we have 13 full-time high-limit drivers now. And as far as the World of Outlaws are concerned, we have 10 with the addition of driver this past week, Bill Balog. The North Pole Nightmare is now going to run for the Kevin Gobrick Rookie of the Year in the World of Outlaws, and he becomes the latest signee to the World of Outlaws. So here are the drivers for the High Limit Series. You've got Brad Sweet, Rico Abreu, Brent Marks, Casey Kane, Jacob Allen, Chris Wyndham, Corey Eliason, Zeb Wise, Justin Peck, Corey Day, Spencer Baston, Brennan Crouch, and Parker Price Miller. That's a pretty good group of drivers.
Yep, no doubt.
Here are the World of Outlaw drivers so far.
And you can find all these stories on racingboys.com as well, right, Kirk?
That's right. Donnie Schatz, David Gravel, Sheldon Hodenshield, Logan Schuart, Giovanni Selzy, Bill Balog, Brock Zierfoss, Landon Crawley, Bill Rose, and Noah Gass. Still yet to decide are the 2 Roth Motorsports cars and Carson Macedo.
I think they're going to stay with the Outlaws.
At least one of the
I think
Roth cars is going to stay with the
maybe
Outlaws.
They'll split them up.
Could be.
Maybe one will run High Limit, the 83 Junior car. You don't know what they're going to do with that.
But they didn't run the 83 Junior car full time last year.
But
with Buddy Kofoid.
But Buddy Kofoid, if he wants to run a sprint car full time, he could do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the great pair would be with him to run with the 83 Junior car. Don't you think so?
And then James McFadden stay with the Outlaws with the 83 car. We'll see. But the other team and driver yet to commit is Phil Dietz, the Jason Johnson Racing 41 car with Carson Macedo as the driver. What do you think's going to happen there?
Well,
I think we both expect them to stay with the Outlaws, but they've not made that commitment yet.
No, we haven't. I want to give a shout out to Tim, who's listening from Iowa City as well.
Welcome.
Yeah.
The other driver that we're looking to see which direction he goes is Tyler Courtney in the Clausen Marshall number 7 car. Naus Energy Drink as the main sponsor, which is a big sponsor for the World of Outlaws. Where's Tyler Courtney going to spend his summer next year?
Well, I think the biggest news maybe of the week is Taylor Reimer is going to be running a pavement late model race.
She's got her eyes on NASCAR, does she not?
Right.
She's going to run some...
Why doesn't Jade Avedisian get a break like that?
Well, she does. I think Jade probably has the bigger backing from Toyota, although both of them are Toyota drivers. The personal services contract that Toyota has signed with Jade Avedisian ensures that she's headed the NASCAR direction. She's got the full backing of Toyota. Taylor Reimer has not gotten the same agreement with Toyota as Jade Avedisian has, but Taylor Reimer is going to find herself in a pavement late model 24 times next year, which I think that's a good move for her. If she wants to go that route, then she's got to start getting some pavement experience.
Right.
And she's gonna get that beginning next year. And You know, Taylor, I thought, really ended up the season strong in that midget. She qualified up front in a number of those races out in California, and she ran up front, and she really performed well in a midget car. But she's going to continue to run midget next year, but also she's got at least 25 pavement races on the docket for next year. She'll be at the Chili Bowl just like Jade will. But Reimer will be racing for Lee Falk Racing through her Toyota development contract, mostly in weekly racing competition as she starts to get her feet wet. So she's got a development contract with Toyota too, but I don't think it's quite on the level of what Jade has yet.
Right.
And Jade's going to be running a pavement.
She's got Yahoo sponsoring her, though. That's always a big plus when you got Yahoo sponsoring you.
Now, Jade is going to be running a pavement road racing schedule next year, along with a number of her midget racing commitments. Jade's not going for any points championships next year, but she's going to be running a number of midget races, including, I think, tonight out at DuQuoin, Illinois, indoors on Dirt Vision. There's big midget race out there indoors tonight. I think, Taylor and Jade will be at that race tonight, both of them?
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, what are we going to have? Who are we going to play here first, Todd? What are we going to play? Which one do you want?
Probably Zeb Wise is a good one, I think.
Zeb Wise, yeah.
That was a really good interview, but we could, like you said, Connor Wade as well. We'll probably play that in the second segment or the third segment. So either way.
Okay. All right. When we come back, Zeb Wise is going to join us right here on the show. This is an interview that we did on Monday on Mostly Motorsports, and it's with Zeb Wise. And we'll be back with more with Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be back with more in a moment. Stay tuned.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodandsupply.com.
Hi, Kansas City. It's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. We have tremendous deals on new F-150s, like up to $7,000 off new XLTs and Lariats, plus 3.9% for 66 months. Looking for a new Bronco, that all-new Mustang, or even a new Super Duty? We have those too. So if you want top-notch customer service from some of the nicest guys around, look no further. Visit us today at the Legends in KCK or victoryfordkc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
At Pyramid Roofing, they understand the importance of good communication, integrity, and getting the job done right the first time. This is why they strive to go above and beyond for every customer to perform superior workmanship at a fair price. They are there to build durable roofs and strong relationships, from inspection to complete roof replacement, gutter replacement, leaf gutter guards. Take it from me, they did a great job on my house, and they will do a great job on yours. Pyramid is the only call you need to make, 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com.
Hey, it's Wayne Simeon, former KU All-American and proud alumni. This holiday season, I'm going to send the gift of Joe's KC Championship Barbecue to all the Jayhawks on my list across the country. You too can ship Joe's KC Barbecue to give the best tasting gift of the season. Joe's ribs, burnt-ends, and even the famous Z-Man can be sent anywhere in the U.S. and will arrive faster than Santa's sleigh. Check out all of the shipped kits or build your own online at joeskc.com.
Hey, Kansas City, don't miss the $25,000 almost New Year's Eve party at Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway Friday, December 29th. It's your chance to win your share of thousands in pen slot play. You could even start 2024 with $2,024 in cash. Don't miss out on the almost New Year's Eve party Friday, December 29th, only at Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway. Must be 21, gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Paid for, simulated client portrayal.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. No matter how you've been injured, my law firm is here to help.
Mike and his team handle all kinds of cases.
Auto accidents, wrongful death cases,
even medical malpractice. Any kind of case, Mike's got this.
No matter what kind of injury case you have, I promise we can help. Call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, you want to set this interview up?
Yeah, first of all, you saw a comment on there that said Jason Fager should have been parked for the weekend.
For the weekend.
You know what?
Yep.
I think he's right about that. I think that was a serious enough deal that I'm going to go along with what the poster said there.
Kenny said it.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yep.
I'm going to have to agree with you. That's as bad a payback and retaliation as I think I've ever seen on a dirt track.
You never seen me pay back people, have you, Kurt?
Yeah, but not like that.
No.
Did you ever try to go for the cockpit? I don't think he meant to go for the cockpit, but that's what ended up happening.
My big deal was with Dave Brundage in 2007 when I had a problem with him when he was blocking me.
I remember that.
I crashed him out.
I was there that night.
I also crashed myself out as well.
That was before I even knew you.
Right.
I remember that. So
right.
Paybacks are, I get it, but on a cool-down lap when the yellow flag is still out, that's a no-no.
Right.
No matter, but what Fager did last night was about as blatant as anything I've seen.
Right.
Zeb Wise is the champion of the All-Star Series. He is going to be a full-timer with the High Limit Racing with Rudine Racing, the 26 car. And he's, at the end of the year, Scott, especially, what an impressive showing he had winning the All-Star race at Eldora, but he also won a World of Outlaw race at Port Royal, too, at the end of the year. So
right.
He ended up the season pretty strong, one of the rising young stars. We spoke with Zeb Wise earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports, and here is a portion of that conversation.
You had such a stellar year this year. You picked up 9 wins, and with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, how would you assess your year as a grade-wise?
Probably like are we just talking All-Stars or the entire year as a whole?
Well, the entire year as a whole, because I know that you ended up picking up a World of Outlaw win as well, right?
Yeah. I'd say probably like a B+, and the only reason I would go that low is just like as far as an All-Star year, we were great. We had a great year. Picked up obviously a good amount of wins, and didn't have very many DNFs, and just all around was a great year. But we still had a few races that I wish I could have back, and Knoxville Nationals did not go our way at all. We had some other stuff going on besides just car and driver, but there's probably a few races throughout the year that I wish I could go back and redo. But yeah, I mean, overall was a really good year. My best year for sure as a driver, and becoming an All-Star champion for the first time, and winning at Eldora and winning a World of Outlaw race. It was really special year for sure.
Talk about that big win at Port Royal in the World of Outlaws. That was huge for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really cool. I feel like we've always been, or well, specifically this year, we've been pretty good at Port Royal every time we've been there, and I kind of thought, like, rolling in there with the Outlaws, I was like, maybe this will be our chance to get an Outlaw win because we were really good here the last time we were here. We really have been good there every time we've been there this year, so especially after seeing Tyler win the first night, I was like, okay, well, I feel like if we can get qualified okay, then, we can have a good shot at this. And the track was much more to my liking the second night. It was a lot slicker, cushion on the fence, and just kind of more to what we're used to when we go there. So, yeah, everything just kind of felt right. We qualified really well. Won the heat race. I think we beat Brad in the heat race. And then, went into the dash. Maybe it was David. I can't remember who we beat in the heat race, but it was definitely a confidence booster for sure.
Yeah.
And then went into the dash, and I think I drew the 2, and then we ended up winning that. And then started on the pole and just kind of paced with Lance at the beginning. Lance got to the lead early and just kind of hung around in second with him. And then, once fuel load kind of burned off and the track started getting a little bit like more to my liking as well, it just everything kind of came together at one time. And it was a special night because I'd never won an outlaw race, obviously, and my crew chief Tyler, he had never won an outlaw race, and that was only Kevin Rudin's second outlaw win. So
wow,
it was really cool.
Hey, let me get into the topic of the High Limit Racing Series in the World of Outlaws. I don't know what your plans are going to be for this year, but
High Limit.
High Limit is the deal for you this year. But what do you think about? I've said this many times on the air. I'm a little concerned that the High Limit Series and the World of Outlaws could fracture 410 sprint car racing a little bit. What are your thoughts on that as well?
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, and I could see it go both ways. I could see it being really good, and if everyone doesn't play nice, I could see it going the wrong way too. And I just wish that every series would just get along. And I don't think Kyle and Brad have come in here and are trying to stir the pot, but I just think that's kind of the way it's portrayed. I think Kyle and Brad came in here and are just trying to make the sport better, and not only for drivers and fans and teams, but just trying to grow the sport, pay more money, make bigger shows. And I think they've kind of got this, stigma with them that they came in and are trying to ruin the World of Outlaws. And it, at some point it kind of does seem that way, but I don't think that's really what they're doing. I think Brad just sees the potential, and same with Kyle, and is just trying to grow the sport. And
right.
Honestly, I think Kyle raced the late model stuff so much that he sees, like, man, these guys race for this much money. Why can't sprint cars? So I think that they're portrayed as trying to be, the number one series, and maybe they are. Maybe that is true, but I also think that they're just trying to make it better for everyone involved.
And you're going to be running, even though you're a full-time High Limit driver, you're going to be running plenty of World of Outlaw events. You guys are free to do so, right?
Yeah, we'll be. I mean, the High Limit schedule is like 60 races, and we'll probably be, I would imagine, in the 90s by the end of the year. So we'll have a lot of races to hit, between the High Limit races and Outlaw races and Knoxville, PA. I mean, there'll be plenty of races. We throw in a 360 every now and then and go somewhere. So, we'll be busy.
All right, Kevin Rudeen, that's quite a ride you jumped into. How'd that all come together for you in the 26 car?
Yeah, I was racing for a family car, and the first time I ever met Kevin, I actually won the Racer Dean Foundation race at Kokomo. And, that's honestly probably how it got started, and I didn't even know. But a year later, I don't remember where we had just got done racing, but Kevin owned Skagit Speedway and was having a dirt cup out there, and he had called and asked if I wanted to be in a second car alongside Corey. And so we went out there and raced, and then it wasn't very long after that, Kevin kind of made his decision to part ways with Corey. And then, the phone call rang, and he basically offered me, the full gig, and that's not something you turn down, that's for sure. Kevin is, I'm not sure what else I would want out of a car owner. He's probably the best car owner out there, in my opinion. So
right.
I'm very fortunate to be, where I am, and very thankful for Kevin and Monica and everything they do for not only me. I mean, they do a lot behind the scenes for sprint car racing. So, very lucky and fortunate to be where I am.
Well, we're here in Kansas City, and, it was cool to have the Rudeen Foundation race a couple of years ago out here at I-70, and it's going to be back at I-70 Motorsports Park this year. Your thoughts about the Rudeen Foundation race? That's always a big race every year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that race, and what Marcia and Kevin and everyone do for the foundation and the foundation race is awesome. Obviously, it pays good, and, that's always a bonus. But, that race is cool. I've been fortunate enough to win it once. So, go back to I-70. Honestly, that's not always been just a place that I've been very good at. But this year, we were actually really good there. Started on the pole and ran okay. A few driver mistakes cost us probably. But, so I think, I'm pretty confident rolling in there that we'll be pretty good. And, looking forward to it.
There you have it. All-Star Circuit of Champions Zeb Weiss.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Man, that crash he took down there at Charlotte during the World Finals down
when
there.
The throttle stuck?
Wicked, yeah.
Oh, man, that was a horrifying wreck.
And he's still recovering from that. I mean, for him to talk about not going to the Chili Bowl this year, make sure he gets well rested for the new year, he's still feeling the effects of that.
As well as what happened to him up at Knoxville as well.
Well, Eldora
was Eldora
the
is
big
what
wreck
we
out there that
Eldora.
he had.
Yeah, but things didn't go right for him up there at Knoxville this year either.
He didn't have good things to say about his performance up at Knoxville, did he? He wants to turn that around for sure.
Yeah, he comments quite a bit on the full interview. You could go to our podcast and listen to the full interview. He comments about why he's not going to be running the Chili Bowl this year, and he'll be watching.
Right.
But he wants to make sure he's completely rested up.
That's a huge loss to lose Zeb Weiss, Rico Abreu, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell
at the Chili Bowl.
That's a big group of drivers that are not going to be racing there this year.
2 or 3 at a time is one thing, but that's
you know
5
the way
big days.
You got 4 drivers that we know of right now. Right.
Yeah, but I choose to look at this whole thing a lot differently than that. Yeah, I'm focused on the guys who will be there, and there's still plenty of big name stars that'll be in Tulsa this year. I like Kyle Larson. I didn't miss him at all last year. Now Rico is a big star. He'll be back though. He's just going to Australia this year. He'll be back. Christopher Bell. These NASCAR guys, they got no obligation to run the Chili Bowl.
Right.
Tony Stewart didn't run every year at the Chili Bowl.
Listen, just to be truthful, Christopher Bell is concentrating on his Cup career.
Yeah,
and he wants to win a championship over there. And I'm not sure that they would allow him to drive an open wheel car as well.
And after what happened to Alex Bowman last year driving that sprint car, they should make sure that they're not hurt in these sprint cars and focus in on what their big paycheck is coming from. So There's still going to be plenty of stars in Tulsa this year to focus in on. It doesn't affect my interest in the Chili Bowl, not having those guys there.
Want to give a shout-out to Kelly, who's listening in from Central Point, Oregon, as well. So, Kirk, we need to take a break so we can get this Connor Wade interview in. When we come back, Connor Wade is the new pit reporter for the World of Outlaws, and we're going to have that interview that we did with him. This is a condensed version of the interview. How long was this interview, Todd?
Oh, all of them were almost 30 minutes on our show on Monday. So
yeah, no doubt. All right, so when we come back, Connor Wade joins us next right here on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be back with more in a moment. Stay tuned.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodandsupply.com.
Run with confidence in 24 from the seat of a new Bobcat loader or excavator. KC Bobcat is your trusted partner in compact equipment. Take advantage of Section 179 tax savings before year end. Time is running out. Invest in the equipment to supercharge your business. Save now on new Bobcat loaders and excavators.
You know how much time we'll have left in this segment?
KC Bobcat locations in
Corville,
Olathe, Blue Springs, or Tracy, or at kcbobcat.com. KC Bobcat is not a tax advisor. The information provided by KC Bobcat or its representatives is for general information purposes only. Please consult your financial advisor or tax attorney for more information.
You know how much time we're going to have in
The jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family now has lab-grown diamonds, and they're selling them, get this, at 40 to 60% off the prices you'll find at the other stores. Gary Joslin and his family are proud to be a mom-and-pop jeweler, because that means they can give you a much better buying experience than the big conglomerates in the box stores could ever dream of. You can feel how much they care as soon as you walk in the front door. So go see them right now at 95th and Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Vanderbilt stocks the gear that keeps you comfortable in the great outdoors. Insulated jackets and bibs from Carhartt and Byrne. Neoprene boots from Carolina and Dry Shop. Now these boots will keep your feet comfortable and dry. Great layering pieces like Brawny and Western flannel fleece and sweatshirts, as well as stocking caps, gloves, and insulated socks. Vanderbilt's keeping you warm for the last 50 years. Locations in Lawrence, Topeka, and Wamego.
How would you like to win free groceries for a year? You heard me right. Free groceries for a year. Henhouse Markets has been serving Kansas City for 100 years. And to celebrate 100 years, they're going to give one lucky customer free groceries for a year. That's up to $10,000 in value. Just follow Henhouse on Facebook. Go online to henhouse.com or scan the QR code right there in the store or at the register. And make sure to use the keyword for your favorite department. Free groceries for a year. Go to henhouse.com, follow them on Facebook, or scan the QR code at the register or in the store.
Looking for more options to rock your home? Voted best in KC, Rock Tops now has 2 locations to better serve you. Come visit their award-winning showroom in Olathe or the new location in Lee Summit. Making homes look incredible is kind of their thing. Rock Tops designs, fabricates, and installs stone countertops in Kansas City and the surrounding areas. Visit their new location in Lee Summit and mention 810 Rocks to get 10% off your countertops. Details and restrictions apply. Visit rocktopskc.com. Rock your home with Rock Tops.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Covell back there running the show for us at Sports Radio 810 WHB. Todd Surprise running it here for RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. And Kirk, we couldn't be more proud of Connor Wade. He's a young guy that worked for us at the Chili Bowl, and he did an exceptional job when he worked for us, didn't he?
Yeah, and have you seen anybody start as young as Connor Wade has?
He started announcing races at 11 years old.
Yeah. What is he, 20 now? Something like that?
Yeah, 2021.
And his experience would say he ought to be about 30-something.
Right.
So he's been doing this a while. Connor Wade is going to take over the pit reporting duties for the NOS Energy Drink World of Outlaws series, replacing Chase Rodman, who's now the voice of the High Limit series.
And we're going to play Chase Rodman's interview that we did with him in hour number 2.
And we're going to have both these guys on weekly during the season. Connor Wade reporting on the World of Outlaws, Chase Rodman on the High Limit series on our Mostly Motorsports show every week.
Every week they'll be on with us, right?
So they'll check in. But Connor Wade is first. We talked with Connor on Monday, and he's excited about his new venture with the World of Outlaws.
Connor Wade joins us now. He will be the official pit reporter for the World of Outlaws. Congratulations, Connor.
Scott, Kirk, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you guys. Great to hear from you. And, thank you. Really looking forward to it. Grateful to have the opportunity to cover the World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, and work with the Great Dirt Vision team on some sprint car things. So it's going to be a fun 2024. It starts a lot sooner than you'd think down at Volusia. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, we've said it many times on this show that you are very studious, and when it comes to doing your prep work, you make sure that you do it as well as anybody. I'm just saying that to be honest with you. I think that you're as studious as anybody out there in the business.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's definitely something that I take a lot of pride in, and something I take very seriously. It's something that, in my opinion, you have to do in order to do the job right. You've got to spend time prepping and finding stats and finding the nuggets that you have to use to support whatever you're going to tell your viewers. If you're going to tell the viewers that you think the dice starting 20th has a chance to win, you've got to be able to back it up. Whether it be with stats or you talk to a driver in the pit area and they tell you that they like the racetrack, or they've got their engine running good, or they figured their shock package out, whatever the case may be. So I think if you're gonna do the job, you've got to do it right. You can't just go out there and tell the race fans something just to talk on a microphone. It's not really how it works. You've got to be able to support whatever you're going to say and convince them that whatever you're saying is logical. So it's something I take a lot of pride in. I spend a lot of time before races, before race weekends, looking through notes and stats and old races, history of the sport. I've already kind of been doing that for the World of Outlaws. So definitely something that I take a lot of pride in when it comes to my work.
And as far as the routine, you're going to hit the ground running because you've already been at Dirt Vision. You covered the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series last year, and anybody who's done the Hell Tour is going to be well prepared what's going on. So you already know how Dirt Vision works, and you'll step right in and hit the ground running.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kirk. I joined the Dirt Vision family actually about a year ago this time. My first race for them was the indoor Power I Midget race at DuQuoin last December. Oddly enough, that race is coming up this weekend. It's been really great to be a part of the Dirt Vision team, or I kind of think of it as a Dirt Vision family. We're all out on the road together, working together. We all kind of have the same, ideas and goals as far as what we want broadcast to look like and the image that we want the series we cover to have. So it's been great. Jim Chappelli and Brian Dunlap just do an incredible job kind of leading the team. And communicating, and then all the producers and the camera operators that you get to work with throughout the year, whether they're full-time employees at Dirt Vision or freelancers. It really was a lot of fun to work for them and do a lot of events in 2023. And then, of course, for the World Finals, I got to be in the studio, so I got to work with people face to face that normally I just kind of had phone calls with throughout the year. The guys and girls that run everything back in the studio in Concord. So I think that we all really worked well together. We all became pretty close, and that comfort level is already there in terms of putting on good broadcast products each and every night.
86 races. Are you prepared to run 86 races this year?
I think so. From my standpoint, I did over 100 in 2023 between Extreme, the Hell Tour, World Finals, some Super Dirt Car Series, bid block modified stuff such as Super Dirt Week, a couple of random freelance camera jobs here and there. So what I think will be different about 2024 is the races are a little bit more coast to coast, all the way from California to New York. A lot of traveling back and forth, a little bit more spread out too. You know, the Hell Tour, there was 5 weeks in a row of races every day, and they were fairly close to each other.
Right.
You know, this is every single weekend, parts of February, and really from March through late November. It's every single weekend. So I'm prepared for it. You know, drivers and crews and teams have it a little bit harder than I do. I just kind of show up and talk on a microphone. You know, they've got race cars to work on. They've got trailers to work on. They're going to have probably a blowout or two on the road throughout the year. So
right.
For my stance, I'm really looking forward to it. But you know, it is really. I think the World of Outlaws has really kind of become known as the top schedule, really, in all of dirt racing, and maybe even all of motorsports, just because of
No
the
doubt.
grind and the gruel that it is for everybody that is on it. But I'm really looking forward to getting on the road.
I'm not so sure that what we see with the High Limit Racing Series and the World of Outlaws, to me, I feel like that this could fracture 410 racing a little bit. Because you see a lot of the guys that were running with the World of Outlaws running over there. Jacob Allen's going to run over there. Zeb Weiss, Rico, Corey Day, Justin Peck. But you see these guys, and I don't know if you have an opinion on it or not, but my opinion is that I'm a little worried that this could fracture 410 sprint car racing. What do you think?
It's definitely an interesting time for the sport, just seeing what's going on. Time will tell, and I show up to races either to watch or to do my job. I'm not a team owner in sprint car racing right now. I don't invest a lot of my own money into it, so I don't know exactly what the books are looking like. But what I can tell you is this: I keep telling people that have asked me the same thing. My opinion on that same question is: you look at the late model world right now, and they are really supporting two main national series between Lucas and the World of Outlaws, and then honestly, you even throw in XR. You throw in Flow Racing Night in America. They're supporting at least two. You could make the case for 4 national series, and what has come out of the late model world is guys that really, really can make a living running a national tour. You see guys that you wouldn't really expect to run a national tour that are able to go and do it just because the money is so good for them, on whichever tour they can decide to run. So I think late model racing has done a really good job of it. It's incentivized the series, I think, to raise the stakes a little bit. You've seen the World of Outlaw late models add in a lot of contingency money, bonus programs. I think you get a couple grand every month or so just for showing up and being top 10 in points. I know top 13 in World of Outlaw late model points are on a Hoosier Tire deal. I know there's a really great Rookie of the Year program that pays the top 3 in points with the late models. I know the Lucas Oil late models have a ton of contingencies, such as the Crown Jewel Cup and stuff like that. So I think that's really gotten the series to up the ante a lot, just in terms of the money that they make available to the drivers. And I can't help but think that the same is going to happen to sprint car racing. We've already seen it, I think, to an extent. Obviously, High Limits put us money up, but the World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink sprint cars have brought things up as well. More bigger paying races. They brought purses up. They did increase tow money for full-time teams that committed by December 1. So I think ultimately the same thing is going to end up happening to sprint car racing in the next 3 to 4 years.
That is
3 minutes to music.
New pit reporter for the NOS Energy Drink World of Outlaws series, Connor Wade.
He's going to do a great job. Yeah. Don't you think so?
Yeah, he'll step right in and pick up where Chase Rodman
If there was
off.
anybody to replace Chase Rodman, Connor Wade is the guy to do it. And he's so studious.
Well, you know what he's got an advantage stepping right in here. He's already been working for Dirt Vision and knows their routine and knows how that all lays out. He did the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series last year. He did the Hell Tour, so he can step right in. He knows the ways of Dirt Vision and how that all works, and he'll do a great job.
No doubt about it.
Hey, I wanted to get one thing in.
We want to remind everybody that we have the interview with Chase Rodman, and that interview is 13 minutes and 42 seconds long, and we're going to play that in hour number 2.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll hear from Chase Rodman, the new voice for the High Limit Series.
2 minutes.
Want to clarify one thing about Jade Abedishian and Taylor Reimer. They're both Toyota development drivers. The only difference is Jade just signed a multi-year extension, an agreement that kind of moves that even forward than what she had. Taylor, already a Toyota development driver. We'll see if she gets the same deal that Jade did just recently.
What we need Jade Abedishian to get is a ride in the Truck Series. I think she'd do really good over there. Don't you think so?
Another year.
Yeah.
I would go another year with what she has planned. She's going to get some pavement experience. But she's still 17 years old, Scott.
Right.
She's got some time.
She's got a little bit of time.
There's no need to rush Jade or Taylor, who I think – you agree that Taylor has really improved her stock even over the last month?
Oh, no doubt about it. She's running up front.
1 minute till music.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Than she has been.
And they're both going to continue to drive midgets. Right. They're just neither one going to go for championships because they've got all this pavement deals that they've worked out now over the next year.
Kirk, so what do you think about we'll save it for hour number 2, but we're going to talk a little bit about the High Limit Series and the World of Outlaws in hour number 2, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Continue what we've been talking about, right? Well, big topic of conversation.
That is the big topic of conversation.
That's what everybody's talking about.
And I'm a little shocked on how many drivers have defected from the World of Outlaws over to the High Limit Series.
I think a lot of it has to do with the charter system that they've developed.
Right.
And we found out details about that over the last week. So,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why the High Limit Series is signing a lot of drivers right now.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Don't forget, hour number 2, you can watch it on our Facebook page. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can watch it on racingboys.com as well. That's hour number 2, exclusively on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk, you got anything to add?
Can we get the Chiefs back on track this weekend? Can we do it?
I think we can do it.
The Patriots, they ain't going to lose to the Patriots, are they?
No, they're not going to lose to the Patriots. I don't think so.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's called Track Talk. And it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. For Cobell, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying we'll see you hour number 2 coming up on Facebook and YouTube.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
My dad was killed by a drum.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Dirt Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I don't know if people picked up on it or not, but I'm fighting a cold today. And I got up a little bit early. So Todd Surprise, typically when he walks into the studio, he's got to fire up everything for the entire show. But when you got here, I had everything fired up, didn't I, Todd?
Let me make sure I got my. I was getting ready to give you some shit because I heard computers running and everything, and I was like, boy, I'm going to jump him because he left everything on last night because I could hear it through the door. I could hear the computer running, and I thought, well, I'm going to give him some hell this morning because he left everything on. I opened the door, and he's already sitting at the desk, TV on. The only thing I had to do was fire up my streams. So
when's the only other time, or if ever, you've seen that happen?
Never. Well, this is the first.
I was up at 5:30 this morning.
This is the first in 12 years that Scott Traylor's beaten me to the desk.
Right.
Well, other than the couple times I was late, but I mean, yeah, I've never had Scott here this early on a Saturday morning with me. So yeah, me and Scott had a good hour before the show started.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Kirk?
Big racing over at the Dome at America Center today. You going to be watching?
It starts at 3:00 today.
Are you heading over there?
Yeah. No, I'm not because I couldn't get credentialed. I couldn't get credentialed.
Really?
No.
Why?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they don't want me over there.
Maybe you need to get in.
You didn't apply in
early
time.
enough. That's probably what's going on.
You waited till the last minute.
Well, that's what I do.
You didn't go through the proper procedures.
That's exactly what I do, Kirk. Don't you know that? I wait till the last minute.
You wait till the last minute.
Right.
You can't do that.
Well, yeah, I can. It typically works for me.
You just say, well, I'll call ahead. Yeah, get me on the list.
I tried to get a hold of Michael Rigsby, and Michael Rigsby, he put me on turn, and then turn said that he couldn't get me credentialed. Why is that?
Because you were too late.
They could put me on the list. It doesn't. It's not too late.
Did he explain why he couldn't get you on the list?
He didn't. He didn't have a reason.
Well, maybe they were just all filled up. Maybe next time you apply like a month in advance, and you go through the proper process. How about that? And I'll bet that way you'll get on.
Right.
So you got to plan for these things, Scott.
I don't plan. Listen,
no, you wait till the last minute.
I always wait till the last minute because I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go. To be honest with you, I'm thinking about going down to Volusia and trying to find an RV spot down there to where I can plug in at.
Yeah. You know, when you and I went to Eldora last summer, who handled the credentials? I did.
Well,
we took care of that.
You always handle. You always handle the credentials, Kirk. You always do that.
Yeah, and we didn't have any issues, did we?
Well,
you tried all taken care of.
Hold on. What are you trying to do? Pat yourself on the back a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you got to plan ahead for.
You're patting yourself on the back a little bit, Kirk.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are. You got your hand up there. You're patting yourself on the back.
You can't wait till the last minute and then complain. Well, they couldn't take care of me. That's on you, man.
Hey, it always works for me.
It always works. Hey, today there's a 40-lap A-Main that pays $30,000 to win. That late model feature tonight. $10,000 to win the modified feature tonight. And the question that we put out there earlier in the show, will Ricky Thornton Jr. double up tonight? Not only win one of these races tonight, but win both of them. And I think you and I both agree that, there's a pretty good chance he does that.
I think Ricky Thornton Jr. is the odds-on favorite to win both of the races, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's won preliminary races.
Where's he going to start at tonight?
Divisions.
Do you know where he's going to start at tonight?
We don't know yet because
he was locked in from the first night.
He's locked in. The top three finishers out of each of the feature events from the preliminary nights are locked into the A-Main tonight, which means Ricky Thornton Jr. doesn't have to run preliminary races in either division tonight. He's good to go for both the modified and the late model feature event.
Right.
And he was pretty impressive both nights out, especially last night. The way he pulled that slide job on Chris Simpson last night was pretty impressive because that's not easy to do, to make a pass for the lead or any other position on that little racetrack in the Dome at America Center.
Kirk, were you a little surprised that Brent Marks is committed to the High Limit Series? Were you?
No, after we heard the details of the charter system,
right,
and how that works for high limit racing, and the value that you create for these race teams in the future, no, that's pretty attractive for somebody like Brent Marks, who hasn't committed to any series over the past 2 or 3 years to make a run at this thing. I think it's not a surprise to anybody. He was talked about that he would be added to the high limit list, and here yesterday he was. So Brent Marks becomes the 13th driver to sign on for the high limit series for 2024. They got, I got to say, Scott, they got a pretty impressive group of drivers.
Go over that list again, Kirk.
You have Brad Sweet, of course, and his boss, Casey Kane, with the other Casey Kane racing car. You've got Rico Abreu, who was not a full-timer on the World of Outlaws or any series last year. He was a full total outlaw driver himself, but he's now part of the High Limit Series, so it stood to reason that maybe Brent Marks will be it. So along with those 3 drivers, you have Brent Marks, Jacob Allen from Shark Racing, Chris Wyndham, the new driver for Vermeer Motorsports, 55 car,
Right.
Corey Eliason, Zeb Wise, Justin Peck, Corey Day, Spencer Baston, Brennan Crouch, and Parker Price Miller, who signed on a couple of days ago.
Marie just asked, how many are ex-All-Star drivers?
You've got Zeb Wise, and you have Justin Peck,
Parker Price Miller,
Corey Eliason, Chris Wyndham, are all former All-Star full-timers. Spencer Baston would be a flip from the World of Outlaws over to High Limit, along with Brad Sweet and Jacob Allen.
So how many drivers?
Outlaws.
Hold on. Let's take how many drivers have defected from the World of Outlaws. How many is that? Casey Kane.
That's Spencer Baston. You have Brad Sweet. You have Jacob Allen. Those are 3 drivers. Casey Kane, he really wasn't a full-timer last year, but the 9-car has been a full-time team.
He ran a limited schedule.
Yeah.
Casey Kane did.
Right. So you got 3, maybe 4 drivers that have flipped from the World of Outlaws. We're still waiting on Carson Macedo from the Jason Johnson Racing 41 team. What are they going to do? I still would be shocked if they're not World of Outlaws next year, but
I would be too.
They've waited this long, so they're still out there. And the 2 Roth Motorsports cars, they've not committed yet, especially the main driver, James McFadden, in the 83 car. What are they going to do? I wouldn't be surprised if they do like Shark Racing and split up. One goes World of Outlaw and the other goes High Limit. What do you think about that? Buddy Kofoid, High Limit, James McFadden back with World of Outlaws?
That would make sense for me. I think Buddy Kofoid would. The schedule itself is less demanding than the World of Outlaws schedule.
Yeah,
and I think that's why James McFadden might run with the World of Outlaws, and that's why you might see the 83 Junior car of Buddy Kofoid run with the High Limit Series.
And the other reason is there's freedom for the High Limit racers to go race any other race they want.
Right.
If it's not a High Limit race, which the World of Outlaw drivers do not have that kind of freedom. So that'd be another reason why High Limit has been signing a flurry of drivers while things have kind of slowed down for the World of Outlaws right now.
Right.
I think eventually World of Outlaws are going to have to free up that restriction that you can only run 4 races outside of the World of Outlaws. Don't you think they're eventually going to have to let up on that restriction?
I don't think the World of Outlaws is going to let up off of that that stipulation. I don't think they're
well,
going to.
Not this year, but
I don't think they will in the future.
But they've got these high-limit drivers committed not just to this coming year, but a long-term, multi-year commitment. If you go high-limit racing and you finish in the top 5 of the points next year, then that awards you a charter. And then there's other charters being awarded if you commit to not just this year, but multi-years down the road. So that's a whole new element that has been brought into sprint car racing that I think has attracted a lot of these teams over there. Right now, there's not the value of these teams that might be down the road. You really don't know what the future holds of how the value of these teams are going to go. I think it all based on the success, how high-limit racing goes over the next couple of years. But most of these teams are banking on the high-limit racing series being a very valuable property that will increase the value of their race teams moving forward. They're taking a chance on that. A lot of these teams are.
Right. So there's no chance that David Gravel he's going to run with the World of Outlaws.
No, he stayed. He's already committed to the World of Outlaws. So here are the drivers that are committed to the World of Outlaws. Donnie Schatz, David Gravel, Sheldon Hodenshield, Logan Schuart, Giovanni Scelzi, Brock Zierfoss, Landon Crawley, Bill Rose, Noah Gass, and the latest signee is Bill Balog, who's going to go for the Kevin Grobrecht Rookie of the Year next year. So I think that's a good get. Bill Balog has been a winning driver in the Midwest and up the upper Midwest, and I think he'll add to the World of Outlaws roster by just his experience. And he, at one time, was a full-time All-Stars participant. Bill Balog, remember that?
Right.
He wasn't this last year, but he's been a full-time All-Stars.
He's been a full-time guy before.
So now we're waiting on, as we mentioned, the 2 Roth Motorsports teams, Carson Macedo and the Jason Johnson Racing 41, and the other driver, we're waiting to see what he's going to do. Tyler Courtney driving the Clausen Marshall number 7 NOS Energy Drink sponsored
And
car.
if you want to see the World of Outlaws, on May 5th, they're going to be running up at US 36 Raceway, right?
April 5th.
April 5th.
Yeah.
April 5th.
Yeah. And so here in the Kansas City area, you've got
that's the
2
only,
nights.
That's the only time you're going to be able to see the World of Outlaws.
Right. And the high limits are going to be 2 nights at Lakeside, 3 nights at I-70 Motorsports Park, and 2 nights at Lucas Oil Speedway, and they got a night down at Lake Ozark Speedway.
Don't they got 2 nights at Lakeside as well?
2 nights.
Right.
Yeah, in May. Early May. So around these parts anyway, unless you go to Knoxville or US 36 Raceway to see the Outlaws, which all those high-limit drivers are going to be as well. They're going to be at Knoxville.
Kirk, do you think that the high-limit series has more appeal to these racetracks than the World of Outlaws?
To the racetracks?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that as far as the promoters are concerned, but you look at this list of drivers that the high limit has accumulated, that's a pretty impressive group of drivers. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
You got Brad Sweet, and you've got Rico. Those are 2 huge stars. You add Brent Marks to the group, which I don't consider him as big a star as Rico Abreu or Brad Sweet. But you got, these all-star, or the guys that used to race with the World of Outlaws. Casey Kane used to be a NASCAR star.
Right.
So he's a big name. And so is...
He's a draw.
And Chris Wyndham made his name over in the USAC ranks. They've got a pretty impressive group of stars at the High Limit Series. You have to say that. But over on the World of Outlaws side, you still have the 10-time champion Donnie Schatz. You have David Gravel, who those are 2 major stars. Sheldon Hodenshield is a big-time star. And Logan Schuart, after winning the Million last year. You got to throw him into that group. And Giovanni Scelzi, you would agree, has proven to be a big star with a big draw as well.
No
so
doubt
World of
about it.
Outlaws still has a good group of drivers, but you look over on the high limit side, they've done a pretty good job of attracting some big-name drivers over there.
Marie says, do you think the Outlaw drivers would only pick tracks they do well at, like David Gravel, Lernerville? I don't know.
Yeah, because they're not going to run all those open weekends, but yeah, they'll go to places that they've had success at and familiar with, and close proximity to, travel will be a big factor in all of that. But it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for High Limit Series, allowing the freedom of these guys to go race with the World of Outlaws. Because the way I see it, World of Outlaws wins by getting all these high limit drivers over to their series, especially if you're at Knoxville Raceway and you see that there's no high limit races scheduled up against any of the World of Outlaw weekends at Knoxville.
Right.
A lot of those guys are just going to show up because
it's the Nationals.
Well, not just the Nationals, but the weekend in June, and they've got a weekend in late April that High Limits is not scheduled up against. Those guys are still going to show up because they want to get track time before the Nationals.
Right.
At both of those events. So the way I see it, Knoxville Raceway is in a win-win situation. They're thinking, why would we ever schedule high limit races over there? Because we're going to get all these guys at our events anyway.
Right. Kelly says, I enjoyed watching IMCA drivers Jordan Kabowski and Tim Ward run up front at the Dome last night. Was probably Jordan's biggest win of his career. He competed against him weekly, and will be pulling for him tonight. That's Greg says that.
Yeah, that was an impressive win by Jordan Grabowski last night, and he had to really work for that. He started fourth in the main event. Drake Troutman looked like he was going to be the guy to beat last night. We've seen him do well in a late model this year. So Drake Troutman starting up front looked like he was going to be the guy.
He looked like he was going to be the winner.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
But on one restart, Mike Harrison was able to get past Jordan Grabowski for second, but then a yellow came right back out, and he wasn't able to keep that spot. And I think that showed Jordan Grabowski when Mike Harrison moved to the inside to pull that slide job. That showed Jordan that he had a move to do the same. And on that next restart,
right,
Grabowski was able to grab the lead off Drake Troutman, and that was the winning move.
Troutman just kept
Grabowski.
running the top.
Yeah.
He just kept pounding the top. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Kurt?
and he left that inside open for Grabowski to make a move.
Did you notice how far his car was rolling over on the right rear? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a real soft spring in it, I guess.
But it looked like for a minute Mike Harrison was going to be the guy to beat. But that, unlucky for him, another yellow flag came out, and he wasn't able to hold that second place position.
I never once thought that Mike Harrison was ever going to win that race. I never thought once. Because I thought it was between Grabowski and Troutman.
Only for an instant did I think Mike Harrison had a shot when he made the move past Grabowski for second. But that yellow came right back out again, and he wasn't able to make that move stick.
Right.
So, but anyway, it was good racing last night. I thought it was a little bit more cowboy up last night. Didn't think it was a little bit rough. You know, you expect that. Night 2 of the dirt of the Nationals over at Gateway. Night 1 is always the smoothest. So you kind of figured that last night wasn't going to be near smooth, but it didn't affect the racing action out there. Matter of fact, we saw more racing action because of the some of the holes that were in the racetrack. Really, all in all, I thought they did a really good job of prepping the racetrack the first 2 nights. We'll see how it is today. But, you know, they'll come out and do a complete rework before those A-mains tonight. So I think we're still going to see a good show.
I thought the best race of the night was between Mike Harrison and Kyle Steffens. I thought for that final transfer position, those two guys
raced. Heat race.
They raced it out pretty hard there, trying to get for that final transfer spot. They only take the top 3 and get them locked in.
Yeah, top 3 out of the preliminary features get locked in. The heat race action was pretty good. We've seen some cars get upside down last night.
Right.
Matter of fact, we saw a late model get upside down, Kyle Montgomery, and still come back and finish 11th in the feature. So that was pretty good move by him.
Right.
You know, the one thing about if you get in a wreck at Gateway, the track is so small, and I think we've heard Bobby Pierce talk about this when we had him on a couple of weeks ago. The thing about Gateway is, yeah, you can tear equipment up, but you're not going fast enough to really be devastating. Most of it is cosmetic if you get in a wreck at Gateway because you're not carrying the speed that you would outdoors on a bigger racetrack. At least that's the way he put it. Now, I think you're right about that. The damage to these cars looked bad last night, but most of it was body work that can easily be fixed. Although there are a couple of guys that got their cars, like Hudson O'Neal, tore the rear clip off that car when he got in a wreck in that 71 car, and it ruined him for the rest of the weekend.
Right. Lloyd says, how about the kid that had the sign, anybody but RTJ, classic, and RTJ ended up with the sign in Victory Lane?
Yeah, some of Ricky Thornton's family members came up there to Victory Circle last night, and one of them was holding a sign that they pulled out of the crowd, anybody but RTJ.
Right.
They were laughing about it. I think they were saying, nope, you don't win that one. We're
right,
and they're holding the sign down there. Here's your sign.
But I thought it was an old man that was holding that sign up.
Well, holding in the crowd,
kid.
but did you see Victory Circle at the end of the night?
Yeah, no, they had the sign.
They grabbed the sign.
Yeah,
and
the kid got it at the end.
One of the family members was holding it in Victory Lane.
And then they brought him back to the pits, and he was holding it. We played a little bit of the video at the beginning of that clip, so that it was pretty funny to see that.
That was funny.
Yeah, no doubt.
40 feature wins in 2023 for Ricky Thornton Jr.
Crazy amount of wins. Would
41
that would that include his modified win?
Yeah, I think it's everything that he's won.
Right.
I don't think he's raced a modified all that much this year. Did he? How much did he race
I don't think
at all?
I don't think he raced a modified much at all this year. So, Kirk, we got this Chase Rodman interview.
Chase Rodman is the new voice of the High Limit Racing Series. He's going to be calling the shots from the PA for the new High Limit Racing Series.
Were you a little surprised when they made the announcement that Chase Rodman was going to be the announcer over there with the High Limit Series?
A little bit surprised.
I was.
When you go back, and we had Chase Rodman on every week talking about the World of Outlaws this year. So, but anyway, his last appearance as a World of Outlaws announcer, he was talking like, hey, good luck to those guys over there, but we'll still be here when it's all said and done. And, he was all about the World of Outlaws when we had him on before, right?
Yeah, right. No doubt about it.
But now he's representing the High Limit Racing Series.
But listen, I'm telling you that he is going to do an excellent job as the PA announcer for the High Limit Series because he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's very studious at what he does, and he's kind of like, to be honest with you, him and Connor Wade are kind of twins. They both prepare really well for the broadcast.
Yeah, and the thing that Chase Rodman did a very good job of as a pit reporter, he knows about the components of the race cars.
Right.
He can talk about, when somebody's in the pits and trying to describe what's going on, getting repairs made on these race cars, which is part of the show. That's as much as action as there is out on the racetrack. He did a really good job of describing the parts and pieces that were bent up on the race cars. And Connor has learned that, but I don't think he's quite as good as Chase Rodman with that. But Connor Wade is getting better over time, understanding the race cars a lot better, and he works at it. That's the thing about Connor Wade, he works at it. But so does Chase Rodman.
Right.
And I expect Chase Rodman to really do a good job as the lead announcer for High Limit Series. But anyway, we had a conversation with him earlier this week about his new gig, and here's a portion of that conversation.
Chase Rodman joins us on the show. He is going to be the voice of the High Limit Series. Chase, congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Still kind of crazy to hear me being introduced as the voice of High Limit. Still got a lot of getting used to, obviously. So pretty exciting, but yeah, glad to be back on the show. I know it's been a few weeks, maybe even a month or two since I've been back on the show. So excited to be back.
Hey, so let me start off by asking how all this came together, and they chose you to be the voice of the High Limit Series. How'd that all come together, Chase?
Yeah, I obviously I knew they were looking for somebody early on. I knew that the guys they had doing it probably weren't going to be able to do a full schedule with their, either their day jobs or their prior commitments or, other series that they had to attend to. And, I didn't really push too hard for it. I'd mentioned something to, I had mentioned something to Kyle Larson at Port Royal for the Outlaw shows there, and I just kind of was in passing by. I was like, hey, it was more of like a joke at the time. I wasn't like being very serious, and I was happy with what I was doing. I was pit reporting and, working for the Outlaws, and, life was good. And I just kind of very, very, it wasn't even that serious, right? It was just like, hey, my old saying back in the day, when I announced was before they came to the green was we got them racked, we got them stacked, and we got the grandstands packed. And I just walked up to him and said, we got them racked and stacked next year or what? That's what I said to him. And he's like, oh, man, I'll talk to Brad about it or something like that. And that was it.
Right.
And that was at Port Royal. And so then, World Finals comes around, and the plan was to go with the Outlaws again. And Mike Hess gave me a call. I think it was the day after Thanksgiving, actually. So very recently, 2 weeks ago maybe, and kind of put the feeler out there, and there was a lot of talks and whatnot, and emails back and forth, and eventually it worked. It worked out.
Right.
It's obviously a promotion for me. I know that Johnny Gibson, he's the best. I think he's the best of all time, and nobody's ever going to be as good as him.
Right.
But the thing is, right, I mean, he ain't going anywhere. I think he's going to be there for 10, 15 more years announced on the Outlaws, right? And I don't know if I want to pit report for 10 to 15 years. I've always wanted to be a play-by-play guy,
Right,
so,
right.
Obviously a big promotion there. Obviously got to think about the time off with family and stuff like that. And, it's just something new and exciting, so you've seen all the announcements they've got coming out here recently, so it's cool to be a part of it.
Hey, Chase, congratulations on the move over there. Very, very exciting for you. Have they figured out some of the other voices that are going to join you on these broadcasts?
Yeah, at the beginning when I first talked to Mike, it sounded like they were going to try and have two guys, me and somebody else on the broadcast, at least up top. And I heard a couple of names, but, recently I haven't really heard much about it. I think that maybe when we have a couple of those races where we have they're like kind of not the dual shows with Lucas Oil, they might try and bring in like a Ben Shelton maybe or a Dustin Jarrett potentially, or maybe if we go to the Midwest, maybe Tony Bachhoven jumps up there with me as well. I haven't heard much other, past that, and that was early on in the talks with this whole thing, but I haven't heard anything ever since then. So maybe that's a potential thing, but as of right now, as far as I know, it's going to be me up there. And then I did hear who the pit reporter is going to be, and I can't release that information quite yet. He's wanted to stay a little confidential before. He's got some other stuff going on right now that he can't be talking about that, or else he'll have some issues on his end there. So, but excited for that guy and excited to work with him. So there will definitely be me and a pit reporter. That's for sure. I can tell you guys that.
Sure. So we get a little preview of your when they're forming up for the 4 wide. What is that, racked and stacked? What is that again?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not.
Oh, you got to.
I'm just not sure yet. I know that honestly it was pretty humbling to hear, but Mike Hess was calling me a lot, and him and Brad and Kendra Jacobs and JP and Brian Walker and Kyle Larson are all in a big group chat, and Mike called me and said that Kyle was in Cabo, I think, a week or so ago, and he was watching old videos from the Red Bluff Outlaws out in California, where he grew up racing, where I started racing, where I started announcing, and he was watching videos from like 4 or 5 years ago of me before I got the Outlaw deal, and he's like, man, we gotta try and get Chase, you know. And he's always, every time I see Kyle, you know, whether it's at Knoxville or Chili Bowl or something, first thing he always says to me most of the time is, we got him racked, we got him like, you know, imitating my deal.
Right.
So if it's up to the boss man, I guess we're gonna bring it back. I know a lot of people like it, but I just don't know.
Right.
But basically, it's we got them racked, we got them stacked, and we got the grandstands packed. You know, let's go racing off a turn 4. We are green. So I made that up a long time ago. That was actually like my 5th race I ever announced. I brought that in back in like 2014, I think.
Well, I think you got to use it, Chase. I think you got to go with it.
I'm not sure that you got to use that or not, Chase, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, we got 2 dates at Lakeside. We've got a date at I-70 Speedway.
3 dates at I-70.
3 dates at I-70 Speedway, and then down at Lake Ozark Speedway as well. So we are saturated with some high-limit races around this area.
And don't forget Lucas Oil Speedway as well.
Lucas Oil Speedway as well, right.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to Lucas Oil. I've actually never been there before, and I've only heard good things about the facility and all that stuff, and there really hasn't been much, if any, 410 sprint car racing there. So that's going to be a fun place to get to. And then we have I-70, obviously 3 dates there, and you know, that's another really, really nice facility. So I think Casey Schumann's the guy that's kind of running things around there now.
Yeah,
so,
he is.
Yeah. And then what was the other track? I need to pull up the schedule.
Lake Ozark.
I don't even know everything about it quite yet.
Lake Ozark Speedway down in Eldon, Missouri.
You've been there before.
I love Lake Ozark, man. That's, if I could choose to live, like if I had to pick 3 places to live, that is in the top 3. I love that area, and I love that track. So very excited to get to Lake Ozark again. Haven't been there in maybe 2 or 3 years. The Outlaws don't go there anymore.
Well, there's nobody that's got more experience setting up broadcasts and do anything than Scott Traylor here at Lucas Oil Speedway. You know that track. When you show up at Lucas Oil Speedway, Scott, you're going to have
I've
to
done a
around.
lot of broadcasts from Lucas Oil Speedway, and that is, let me tell you, it is the diamond of dirt tracks. It is the nicest facility that you'll ever lay your eyes on, to be honest with you, Chase. I'm just telling you, it is the nicest racetrack. It has a drag boat race lake over there, and they've got
I hear they've got everything.
They've got an off-road race. They've got a quarter midget track. It's just the greatest place on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I've never been to a nicer place,
and it's got a great PA system too.
Oh,
You'll like that.
They've got a Bose sound system at the racetrack. Just so you know, it's a Bose sound system.
Well, I am very excited to get there. I'm looking at the schedule now. The first time we're there looks like the June 28th, 29th. So, I'm going to be really excited to get to that place. And there's a lot of tracks that I haven't been to before on this schedule. And the thing I like most about this schedule is a lot of small tracks. You know, obviously we do go to quite a few of the, you know, half miles and whatnot. But I would say, you know, I'd have to do some math here, but I would think 75% of the schedule is smaller tracks, which I'm a big fan of.
Right. And let me ask you about this. Is it a little bit of a stretch for some of these teams to be able to run out on the West Coast? You know, you're going to Thunderbolt, you're going to Placerville, you're going to Silver Dollar Speedway. Is that a little bit of a stretch for some of these teams? I know that most of these teams have the budget to run out there on the West Coast, but I think some of the smaller teams might not be able to afford to go out to the West Coast.
But it helps when they pay big money like they're paying at these races like
no
Chico
doubt.
and Skagit, right?
No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Skagit and Silver Dollar are both $100,000 to win, and Tulare 25, or Hanford 20. So, you know, I'm curious to see what the full purse looks like for the Silver Dollar and the Skagit race, because I think that could be a big determining factor about what you're talking about for those teams that, you know, got to go a long ways to be there.
Right.
You know, if you run 15th, is it going to be, you know, $2,000, $3,000 to start for a big race like that? Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt.
But that could make it worth it. But I also think running, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 races out there, that also makes it worth it. It's not like you're going out there and racing 4 times. You know, you're racing a lot from August 15th to August 31st, 16 days, you're racing 11 times. So they're making the most of their time out there by racing a lot. And that's, I think, where, the Outlaws maybe have had some issues in the past where they go out there for 3 weeks but only race 6 times.
Right.
Or go out there for 2 weeks and race 4 or 5 times,
Right.
So, I think it'll be good. And, we've been seeing some of these teams come on, join the high limit here the last couple of days. And, I mean, most of them are pretty good, I feel like, in the financial department. Got great owners, and hopefully it won't be too big of a problem for them guys to go all the way out there.
We just had Zeb Wise on. He's the 2023 All-Star champion, and he is going to be running full-time with the High Limit Series as well.
Yeah, he is. Gonna be interested to see how he does. Because I think right now, the 2 guys that everybody's gonna be chasing for this championship, obviously, gonna be Brad and Rico. So I mean, maybe you'll have a surprise guy come in there and challenge them. And when it's only 60 races, it's not 86, right? I mean,
right.
The Outlaw schedule is 86 races. The high limit deal is 60, and like I said, with the smaller tracks being in there as well, I think that can play a big part in who gets to be competitive and who doesn't. I mean, a lot of these guys that aren't quite as good at half miles, but they're really good on the smaller tracks. And
right.
You get 75% of the schedule on the smaller ones, and could bring some different guys into the mix. So Zeb, he has really become a great driver here recently, and he's been fun to watch. And it was great to see him pick up that first Outlaw win at Port Royal. So tough way to obviously end the season at Charlotte, but I think he's going to be coming out of the gate swinging.
Do you feel like the difference between 86 and 60 is a big difference for some of the teams that don't want to have to run the grind of the World of Outlaws? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, that was one of the main things that brought me to this deal. Obviously, I'm not a team, I'm not a driver, I'm not a team owner, but if you add 60 to 86, that's 26 races, and that equals out to roughly 11, 12, 13 extra weekends of racing. And that's more time away, that's more money on the road, that's more hotels, all that stuff, right? So, I think it is a pretty big difference. Obviously, I think that it's a little deceiving, obviously, because those weekends that we take off are going to be big races that more than likely everybody that runs high limit is going to be there. But it's not going to be a points race for them, right? It's going to be more of a race where they go out there and just try and win. They don't have to worry about points or anything like that, so that could be a potential difference. But they're still going to be racing a lot. They're going to be racing more than 60 times, these guys on the high limit tour. So, but yeah, I mean, it's appealing for sure. That charter system they've been talking about. I mean, I don't know all the details. I'm not a business guy by any means, but there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to talk about. I feel like the news is, we still got, right now, there's 11 cars now that are running full time. And I was just on the phone with somebody and I heard there could potentially be like 18 that sign up to run high limit. And
wow,
I mean, that's just crazy.
And now there's 13 that have signed up officially. Since we last spoke with Chase, there was 2 more added, Parker Price Miller and Brent Marks.
Right.
So do you think they'll get 18? He talked about 18. I was thinking more like 14 or 15.
I'm not sure how many people will stay out on the tour with the High Limit Series, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because in order to get one of those charters, you got to finish in the top 5 in points. So there is a performance component to all of that.
Don't you think that Carson Macedo is going to stay with the World of Outlaws?
I do, but why haven't they announced already what they're going to do?
I don't know.
And he's putting a couple of teasers out on his Twitter page about, hey, I can't wait for the battle between the High Limit and the World of Outlaws. And then he put a poll up there saying, what schedule looks good to you, High Limit or World of Outlaws? And High Limit had the most votes. So I don't know. I mean, Phil Dietz, you know what they're all about. What are they going to do?
I might give Phil a call this week and talk to him, see what's going on.
Yeah, you can talk to him. He won't come on the air and talk about it. Phil doesn't like going on the air or doing interviews, but he'll talk to you about it.
Right.
So we'll get a get an insight about that. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame inductees will be announced in a Facebook show next Friday at 11 a.m. on the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Facebook page. 11 a.m. we'll find out who the new inductees are for the class of 2024 next year. And while we're at it, if you haven't got your Christmas shopping done, check out SprintCarStuff.com for all your racing friends or family that you're buying gifts for. A lot of great options there. And, of course, the sweepstakes drawings are ongoing throughout the weekend and throughout the rest of the year and ongoing till the drawings happen for the Corvette next August and for the XXX Sprint Car with an Al Parker Racing engine next December, year from now. They'll be drawn for the Sprint Cars. So get signed up for all of that. Win a Z06Corvette.com to get signed up for the Torch Red Corvette with a Z07 performance package and $25,000 cash. And win a SprintCar.com for the Race Ready Sprint Car. They're going to give away next year. All of these are great fundraisers for the Hall of Fame and Museum. And, Scott, we had Bob on a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about, doing new floors, and they were painting the walls, and they were continuing to do upgrades and fixing up the museum.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's go to the phones right now, and let's bring on our good friend Bob Douglas with the Rod End Supply. Bob, big weekend down there. Big weekend down there at PRI, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was several of us were talking, and we think that was the amount of people were there that we figured it was probably pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So the numbers have come back, which is good.
Right, no doubt. Bob, let's talk a little bit about the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. I know that we had a couple of your winners on this year, and listen, that series, it's a series to where you can purchase a car and not have to do a lot of maintenance on it, right?
That's the probably one of the best things about it. My car, it's normally about 4.5 hours of maintenance. If I change the oil, you might add another hour to it.
Right.
But other than that, it's about 5.5 hours a week. And, it's just making sure all the nuts and bolts are tight and checking, changing the setups, that type of thing, putting tires on it, and normally all we're doing is just changing the tires around. That's about it. I've always got a base setup that I take it to the track with, no matter what track it is.
Right.
And then from there, we go ahead and keep expanding from that. But, yeah, the maintenance is almost nothing. We don't clean the injectors, and let me preface that in saying this electronic fuel injection that they have on the bikes, if we take that and start the car about every 7 to 9 days, 10 days or something, then what it does, it keeps the alcohol flowing through it and it doesn't gel up.
Right.
And so that makes it real handy. If you let it set for a couple of weeks, then you're going to have to clean the electronic injectors on it, which it isn't a big deal.
Right.
But yeah, the maintenance is almost nothing.
Bob, now explain to me, you run 1,000cc motors now. It used to be 1,200s, right?
Well, that was before they made the 1,000 cc's. They were making 1,100cc motors, and back then the motors, most of them were oil-cooled, not water-cooled. And so because of that, there was some more maintenance with them. Heat was bad, so you had to run alcohol. And normally, horsepower was only, even though they were 1,100cc, horsepower was something only like 130. So to get any horsepower out of them, you had to build them. So normally, board them. Once in a while, you have some people stroke them. put high compression pistons in them, camshafts, and then of course put fuel injection on them, because back then they weren't running fuel injection; they were just running carburetors.
Right. Yeah.
But then when you do that, they were up there around 180, 190 horsepower.
Wow, that's a lot of That's a big horsepower difference, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, back then when we were doing it, it cost about $2,500 to do it. Back then you could buy a motor for $1,500. So
right off
the
of
1,000 cc's, they're stock on the bike at 170 to 175 horsepower.
Right.
Say, hey, Bob, good talking to you. Merry Christmas to you. Hope the holiday season is working good for you. What do we got to do to attract more interest, more people to come in? Because the way I see it, there is no better entry level if you want to be a sprint car driver to get into the Midwest Lightning Sprints due to the cost, everything you've talked about as far as so little maintenance on these cars, and the whole package seems so appealing if you want to get into sprint car racing. What do we got to do to attract more interest here?
Well, we've normally been running at about 4 to 5 tracks within the about a 150-mile radius of Kansas City, and we don't need to go any further than that. That's probably far enough. I think the biggest thing is right now is that a lot of our people, of course, are not professional. They're just Saturday night racers. But we've got quite a few guys that work construction-type jobs, and some of those require them to work on Saturdays. Well, after you've worked all week and worked on Saturdays too, a lot of these guys are not real interested in getting their race cars back out. So, and then because the race cars don't cost as much, there's not as much priority that, I got this much money in those race cars, I got to go race it. So anyhow, we just don't get the guys out of their garages back onto the track. We've got 21 cars. I've got 2 more people right now looking for cars. So biggest thing is we just got to get the cars to the racetrack, and once we do that, that'll be good. I've been talking to different tracks, and we're going to try to run a few more joint shows when the sprint cars come in. In other words, we're going to run with some of the sprint car shows, and we're trying to maybe change the way of thinking up a little bit. It's always been my idea that we'll run with the modifieds and late models, because we're a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap faster than they are.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't equate to the fan interest as much as it would be, I think, if we ran with sprint cars.
Right.
So anyhow, that's kind of the game plan for this year. We'll see what happens. Right now we've got 13 shows scheduled. They're going to be moved around a little bit. We're going to have probably, time I get done, we're probably going to have 20, 21 shows for the summer, starting in May and ending up at the end of September right now.
So you got the cars. They're out there. It just
getting them all together.
They got to have the time to come out and do this, right?
Right. Yeah. That's part of it. We had a couple of guys last year that were sick. They'd had some health issues, and so anyhow they couldn't race. And like I said, we had 6 cars last year that people were working Saturdays, and some of them even Saturday nights. So, when that happens, it just makes it tough to get the guys out there.
And you race on a type of racetrack, the smaller tracks, CMS, I-35. You're on racetracks that they go fast, these cars, and from the grandstands, to me, they put on great racing.
They do. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, man, well, they don't have very many cars. They didn't have but 12 cars show up, Well, my idea of racing, if you got 4 cars that you can throw a blanket over, that's all you need. That's racing.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I've talked to the competitors, the people that race on your series, and It seems like to a person, the thing that attracts them the most, they really don't have to spend a whole lot of time working on these race cars to get them ready to go racing.
Yeah, we talked
and
about
the cost is, once you've invested in it, there's not the ongoing expenses that you see in other forms of racing.
No. Well, if you can buy a good used car somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $10,000 with spares, and normally, the only thing you're going to put out is fuel, tires. If you buy 6 brand new rear tires at the start of the season, normally you don't have to buy another one. And quite frankly, there's enough big midget teams that are out there that I've been gathering up their used tires. That's probably 85 to 90% still good with tread, and I've been selling those to the guys for $25 and then putting money into the points fund. So,
right.
But we pay $70 to start the feature. We only paid like $2.25 to win, but we only dropped $25 per position. So the payout's good as far as what a lot of the things are.
Right. Hey, Bob, let me ask you a question. What do you think about the High Limit Series coming in and taking on the World of Outlaws? What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. It's definitely a challenge, for both series now, because they've got to make sure that they get cars. That's the biggest problem. And the other problem that they may have, a lot of the local racers can't afford to race at that level.
Right.
So therefore they may not get some of the local cars out. So therefore the car count's going to be down. Once again, we're talking car count. So then once again, you got the spectators out. They're looking for, well, they only showed up, they only had 15 cars and they only had 18 total. Well,
right.
That's going to be an issue. I know it sounds to me like, from what I've heard through the grapevine, that Shark Racing, one car is going to run with the
Outlaws, and one's going to run with High Limits.
The other car is going to run with the other series, yeah.
Right, no doubt.
Yeah.
But the payout is, of course, going to be important, and they're trying to get more payout, which is good. But, when you're talking about 410 motors costing anywhere from $75,000 up.
Right.
That's a big ticket.
You bring up a good point, Bob. Something we probably not talked enough about is when these events get going next year, you got High Limit running over here, you got World of Outlaws running over here. How many cars are going to show up at these events? And you're absolutely right. The fans that come to the gate, if they walk away and say, oh, they only had 18, 20 cars there.
Right.
What's going on? That's going to be a big problem, is it not?
Yeah, when you start splitting car counts up, that's always been an issue with any of these. It's the same thing as local tracks running the same night.
Right.
And you've only got X amount of cars. Well, you're splitting car count up, and this is not going to be. It's good that the High Limit Series is letting the Outlaws run with them. Even the High Limit can go run with the Outlaws, but the Outlaws, of course, they got their little rule there, and I think they're going to have to release that.
I do too.
So far I haven't looked at the schedules real good. Hopefully they're not scheduling races over the top of each other. I don't think that they have. If there is, it's a very rare exception.
Right. I'm in a little bit of a disagreement with you on that, Bob. I think that they're going to hold solid on their 4-race outside of the World of Outlaws. I think that they're going to hang on to that. I think Brian Carter's going to hang on to that, and that's going to limit the amount of races that the World of Outlaw drivers can go run with the High Limit Series.
I don't think they can stick to it, Scott.
I think they're going to have to stick to it, because they've got to stick to it, because if not, everybody's going to go over there to the High Limit Series and run over there.
You know why that they can't stick to it? Because which is what Bob was talking about.
What?
Car counts, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the car counts, to be honest with you, we see 13 cars going to run with the high limit series right now, right? And how many cars are going to run with the All Stars with the
World of Outlaws? Well,
high
so
limit
far
series?
you got 9. 10. We think it's going to end. They're going to have. I think when it's all said and done, they'll have at least a dozen full-time platinum members. But it seems like, Bob, the World of Outlaws is having a little bit more of a struggle lining up these drivers in the high limit right now. Is it because of that new charter system they advanced out there?
That's probably part of it.
Right.
How many traveling World of Outlaws teams that stayed on the circuit last year? How many did they actually have?
Right.
18?
Yeah.
Probably
so.
Something like that.
Traveled the whole circuit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, there are certain areas that they can go into, like out in Pennsylvania and up in that area, and, of course, around Knoxville. But some of these, and some of the tracks out on the West Coast, but for the most part, there's not a lot of high-dollar 410s racing around in the areas.
Right.
So therefore, that's going to limit them as well, and that's always been the situation anyhow. But now, when you got two groups trying to draw cars all the time,
right.
It just makes the drivers themselves, they love it, because that way they get to keep racing more racing and races, and they get to make more money, which is great. But then again, some of these teams that are running really tight funded, then they may not be able to run all the races that they want to run just because they're not going to have the money to do it.
Right.
And not all the track operators are going to be happy with this because of what you just talked about, car counts. The biggest winner, it appears to me, is Knoxville, because High Limit has not scheduled any events of any of the 3 Knoxville World of Outlaw weekends, so they're going to draw all of those High Limit drivers over to those World of Outlaw races at Knoxville, are they not? They don't have to schedule High Limit series because they're going to get all those drivers to Knoxville for the World of Outlaws anyway.
Right. No doubt.
Yep. That's true. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And Knoxville should have some real good car counts on some of those races.
Hey, Bob, let me thank you for re-upping with the Racing Boys here on Track Talk and Mostly Motorsports. We can't thank you enough for doing so. Man, you've been a great supporter of the Racing Boys ever since day one, and we can't thank you enough for doing so.
Well, I definitely enjoy doing it. You and I have been doing this for quite some time. So
yeah, no doubt.
Quite a few years. Let me throw a commercial in real quick.
Yep.
We introduced an all aluminum rod end at the PRI show.
Wow.
That is an aluminum ball. The body is aluminum, just like it's always been. It's got the red nylon fiber injection molded material in it, but it now also has an aluminum ball. It's a 7075 T6 aluminum ball. It is 30% lighter than the other aluminum rod ends on the market.
That's revolutionary, is it not?
Well, it's revolutionary, not, but it for people that are wanting to cut back on unsprung weight. It's one way to do it, yeah. And then we've also we did make some chromoly steel rod ends with the injection molded race, and we put aluminum balls in those. We tested them this summer. They work great. I mean, we have no issues whatsoever. Some people say, won't that aluminum ball crush? No, it doesn't. 7075 is pretty strong. What a lot of people don't understand is that a 7075 aluminum rod end is as strong as a mild steel rod end.
Right.
A lot of people don't check specs and stuff like that, but it's just as strong as a mild steel. Chromoly steel, it's stronger, but as far as just regular mild steel, aluminum is just as strong. So
right.
There's no difference.
Well, we want to let people to let them know to go to rodendsupply.com if they want to find out more about that product, or they can call 1-800-284-2902. Is that correct, Bob?
That's the number. Yep, that's got it.
So you're looking forward to the chili. You're going to be down at the Chili Bowl, right?
Yeah, we'll have a booth down there again, just like we have in the past. And, since they keep increasing the days, it makes it a little more difficult because we've got to set the booth up on Saturday because a lot of the trucks and that kind of stuff are moving in on Sunday. Well, let me back that up. They're moving in on Saturday as well, and then on Sunday is practice.
Yeah.
So we've got to have the booth set up on Saturday, and we've got nothing to do on Sunday. Monday we'll have a few people by the booth, but quite frankly, our booth traffic doesn't even start picking up until Thursday, maybe. Normally Wednesday, though. That's when the booth traffic starts picking up a little bit.
And where's your booth going to be at down there at the Chili Bowl?
Same place?
Yeah, same place. When you they've got it set up now, which I recommended, and I don't know if they did it on my recommendation or not, but this is something that the off-road shows do. They set it up, the booths they're not in rows. In other words, when you come in, you've got a path that you have to take. So that means you're going to walk by every booth as long as you walk this path.
Right.
And so that's kind of where we're at too. If you walk the path, you're going to walk by us. So,
yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people use that path to leave and enter the building too. So yeah, that's a great location.
They do. Yeah, they come in that back door and then come up through there, but they've got a good setup down there. The racing's always good, and the Hahn family is good to work with. I've been working with them for many years.
And you got that same banner placement that you've had you got the best banner placement of anybody down there. You've had in the past.
I don't know how we lucked into that, but we did. But we've that banner. Normally, if they're panning the backstretch down there, that banner is always showing up on the backstretch. So it's a good spot, and of course the track's not very big, so it doesn't take much to see that banner. That banner is 20 foot long and it's 10 foot tall.
Right.
So it's a pretty good sized banner.
Yeah, and the greatest spot possibly of all the banners down there, that's probably the greatest spot that you have right there.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a good spot to have, and we've worked with them. Blake runs a lot of our products on his cars.
Right.
And so like I said, we've been dealing with the Hans for quite some time. We all get along really good.
Yeah.
They call me and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? Can you do this?" And sure, we'll do it.
Well, I don't know if you know it, but Kirk and I, we buy Blake Hahn a fire suit every year.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
Bob, your family to us and the Hahn family is they're family to us as well. So we're all in one big family here.
Well, I feel that way about you guys too.
Yeah, no doubt. Bob, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us here on the show today. Again, we are so excited that you've re-signed with Racing Boys for 2024, both here on Track Talk and Mostly Motorsports. We can't thank you enough for doing so, and you've been a great friend to Kirk and I for a long, long time, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for all you do.
I can't thank you enough for whatever you do for us, man.
Well, thank you guys. We're all one big family, and we just need to stick together in this.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Happy holidays, Bob.
All right.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. There you have it. That's Bob Douglas. Man, he is a great, great guy, man. I'm telling you, he has been one of the longtime supporters of the Racing Boys, hadn't he, Kirk?
Yeah. Yeah. It's he brings up the Hahn family. We feel the same way about them.
Right. No doubt.
And we're all family here. So this is why it's fun to come in here and do this. It's about the people, I think. So, Todd, Scott, we're all, hope everybody has a happy holiday. We need to say this. We're not going to stream a live show next Saturday, the next 2 Saturdays, because we're to take a little time off.
This is rare for the Racing Boys.
Little vacation time.
We're going to do a show on Monday. Mostly Motorsports will be here on Monday. We'll recap the Gateway Dirt Nationals.
We're going to have Matt Ward on as well, right?
Yep. He'll be talking about what's going on down with the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl. And so a live show on Monday at noon. But we're going to take the next 2 Saturdays off. We'll do a best of shows, recorded shows for Sports Radio 810 WHB listeners. We'll still hear a show, but we're not going to be streaming a live show the next 2 Saturdays or the following 2 Mondays, which are on a holiday.
That's right. We have Monday
Christmas
holidays.
on Monday, so is New Year's Days. We're taking those days off. Our next live show after Monday, this coming Monday, will be Saturday, January 6th for Track Talk.
That's right.
Kelly says, what the hell am I going to do for 2 weeks?
We want you guys to go back to all the podcasts.
We're going to have Sammy Swindell on, Donnie Schatz, right?
Yep. And then maybe Bobby Pierce and maybe another. Like you said, if you guys have some suggestions on what you want to hear maybe on that best of show, but like Kirk was saying, it's going to only be on the audio side. What we would like you guys to do is go back and share your favorite podcast of the year that Racing Boys had and get that out to all of your race fans, because we're going to try to pump this number up for next year. So we'd like to maybe pick up a couple of new regular listeners for next year. And we know Marie up there in Pennsylvania, she's got the Pennsylvania posse. She could probably pass a few names on to. So that's what we're wanting you guys to do over the holidays. Go back and find a great episode that you like and listen to it again and share that thing for the Racing Boys.
Yep.
But to be honest with you, we grind this thing out 52 weeks out of the year. We've done that for a lot of years. We'd, we just like to kind of kick back and recharge our batteries a little bit.
I've been with
Come
you
back
guys.
in the new year, 2024, Chili Bowl will be live and doing shows after the first of the year. But we all kind of feel like, hey, let's
take a little bit of a break.
A little bit of a break and recharge our batteries and come back fresh for 2024.
I've been with you guys for 12
years.
Almost 12 years. It's 11 Christmases, and we've never actually had this amount of time off. You know, Kirk was going to retire at the end of last year.
But he decided not
to. Stick
to.
around. So this is a good opportunity, Kirk, for him to get a couple days to get back to Iowa and take care of business. We're getting planning for a wedding and stuff. I think me and my wife are maybe going to take a small weekend vacation and not even open up the computer editing system, right? Just going to let that bad boy just set and fire it up next year. And I think it'll be good for everybody to get it seems like it never ends. It never ever ends.
You know what? When we were doing
just
the
keep
live
going on and on.
When we were doing the live broadcast of the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl,
Man,
we didn't take any time off.
Not at all.
That was our busy event. The whole year was Christmas and the Chili Bowl, and so we didn't take any time off.
People don't realize the setup.
We feel that, and it's hard to take time off during the middle of the summer. You know, we're all here every week. We don't miss
races
a show.
are going.
So, we kind of figured that we need that. We
if you're down,
need to recharge our batteries a little bit, and we'll come back fresh and ready to go in 2024.
If you're down there working at the shootout right now, installing and doing all that work, we're thinking about you, and better you than us this week. Like you said, I've had my fill of hanging banners and doors, and man, it's just a non-end. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work to do
for
the Chili Bowl.
16 years, up until a couple of years ago, this was our
this
busy
is it.
time.
This was it.
This was it.
I mean, we would cut this show down, pack up, and then, as soon as this show was over, we were tearing this equipment down, guys, and just, packing up like you just never. And it would take 2 or 3 trips to get down there. And we managed to get it all home in one trip. I don't know.
Right.
We would always take
How
that.
do we do that?
Because the stuff.
We took it down there in several trips, and then we all hauled it back in one trip. How do we do that?
Every car. One year I drove my wife's. We had a Prius. Remember that year I had my little wife's. My car had croaked on me, and I'm hauling stuff home in this Prius, and I thought I probably got more weight in this car than the weight has on the car. But
right.
It was. It's always exciting to be down there. The shootout. The cold weather was always the it factor, right, guys? Like, you could deal with everything that you had, the 13-hour days, whatever. But, man, when you stepped out and there was ice covering the whole street, or
man,
that's just the game changer.
What year was it when they had the ice storm down there?
Oh,
Kurt?
gosh, man,
I forgot what year that was.
Couldn't get out of the driveways.
You're typically good at those years.
It was sometime in the late 2000s.
Yeah,
I want to say
that they had
15 years ago.
We had one year we couldn't get out of our driveway. Me and Kirk left. We parked at the top of the hill out of our because we knew that ice
in
was
Tulsa, Oklahoma. How do they handle ice? They just wait till it melts.
They just wait.
Right.
That's their plan.
That's how they work it.
Yeah.
It's always fun down there. And like you said, if you guys are down there, have fun down there. We enjoyed all of our time down there, and got a lot of peeps down there that always reach out to me around this time. You coming down? And I probably won't be this year, but maybe next year. So
but you and I will be there. We'll be down in
We'll
Tulsa
be down
for the
there
Chili
for
Bowl.
sure. Yeah.
So we'll have a lot of fun down there.
Staying at the A-Loft.
Yeah.
You've never
You've
stayed there.
At the so I'm counting on you that it's all good at the A-Loft.
It is. It's a great place to go to.
So anyway, we're looking forward to that. So if you don't hear the show next week, don't worry. We're still here. We're just taking a couple of weeks off. That's all.
Right. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for we're going to be on Monday, right?
Monday, we'll be on live.
Right.
As usual, 12 noon.
Yep, no doubt about it. Mostly Motorsports, 12 noon on Monday. That's 12 noon Central Time, just so you know. And we'll be here, and we'll have Matt Ward on, and
I'm going to try to get the winner on.
Maybe we'll get Scotty Cook on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Scotty's going to be down
PA
there on the
announcer.
PA at the Shootout and the Chili Bowl.
Right, no doubt about it. Sure. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in to the show. For Todd Surprise, for my partner Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We will be back on Monday, and then next week we'll start the replay shows, right?
And if you don't hear us until the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to y'all.
Yep, no doubt.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone out there. We'll be back on Monday. Stay tuned for that show. That will be live as well. We'll see you on Monday. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Monday.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.